Here's Charlie Dickens, chapter 23, entitled Sink or Swim. They were both pleased to see the start of a new day. There were so many hours stretched in front of them that the days seemed endless. Tinker was glad to get out of the house after the tense situation of the night before. His face was still hurting, and he could hear his dad's messing about in the garage, and the last thing that he wanted to do was to help him. Tinker had spent most of the night washing and rubbing his face, and he had only managed to make it look far less obvious. "Hi, Charlie," he said. "Fancy another adventure?" "Sure," said Charlie. "What do you have in mind?" he said, with excited eyes. The truth be told, Tinker didn't have a clue, but when he saw a group of boys heading to the local Lido, he knew where they were going. Charlie hadn't been swimming in ages. He remembered having lessons, but he couldn't stand the cold water. To him it was like torture, and he hoped that the water would be at least bearable. The last thing that he wanted to do was to embarrass himself by shivering in front of everyone. "What's that on your face?" said Charlie, looking concerned as Tinker tried to wipe away the bruise. "Oh, it's nothing," said Tinker with a shrug. "I walked into a door," he added, not very convincingly. Charlie believed him, as he believed most of the things he said. The sun came out again as they approached the swimming pool, and it was full of people, and mum and dads and youngsters sat by the shimmering pool, splashing about in the water or dozing in deck chairs, with their faces covered by multicolored towels. Charlie and Tinker were fortunate to get in for free, but Tinker had a way of persuading most people out of anything. Charlie wasn't keen on going into the water. He hated crowds and noise, and he wasn't comfortable. He found an abandoned deck chair and he lay back and he watched the day go by. Tinker wasn't hesitant at all. He jumped right in with an almighty splash, and the other boys and girls in the pool scattered like ants. Charlie watched him swimming from end to end in awe. He was like Tarzan, he thought, amazed. Everyone was watching him, the boys with envy and the girls with admiration. Charlie let the sunshine wash over him, and before he knew it, he was drifting in and out of sleep. Once again, he was Spider-Man, and he was flying effortlessly through the dangerous streets of New York City. He could sense something in the air, and when he got closer, he observed a shifty-looking gentleman who seemed to be walking a little too close to a mum and with her baby. Spidey got closer, and he could see her purse bobbing about precariously, and the shady gentleman was getting closer and closer to it. It wasn't difficult to guess what his motives were. Then the dodgy man was hovering over the pushchair and the sleeping baby, and the busy mother had no idea what was about to happen. Spider-Man swooped before he was too late, and his webbing wrapped itself around the man's wrist and left the baby, the mother, and the purse far from his grasp. "Help!" a familiar voice echoed around the pool, and Charlie came out of his daydream as if he'd been plucked out of the water himself. It was Tinker, thought Charlie in horror, and he ran over to the pool to see what was going on. Tinker was being pulled out of the pool, and water and foam was coming out of his mouth, but his eyes were open. To Charlie's relief, a big burly man was thumping on his chest as a soaked and bewildered crowd gathered around. Charlie was sure that he'd seen the man before, and it took him a few seconds to realize who it was. "Bob," he said out loud, feeling at once relieved and afraid at the same time. Tinker was staring at Bob, and Charlie wondered if he was thinking the same thing. Tinker spluttered again, and he began to kick his arms and legs about and throw balls. And as Charlie got unsteadily, and as Tinker got unsteadily to his feet, it was as if nothing had happened. As Charlie slowly sat up and came back to life,